Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years in prison for money-doubling scam. Ghana church fraud case. COFIIG-Ghana reacts to Agrada's jail sentence, concerns and commendations. Husband of jailed evangelist Nana Agradaa speaks out, church will continue. Bukom Banku calls on President Mahama to free Agradaa. Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years in prison for money-doubling scam. Ghana church fraud case. Shocking fall from grace, notorious evangelist sentenced to 15 years for $1 million scam. The controversial founder of Heaven Way Church, Evangelist Patricia Asiedua, better known by her flashy alias Nana Agradaa, has been handed a staggering 15-year prison sentence with hard labor, but here's the twist that has everyone talking. In a dramatic courtroom scene at Accra Circuit Court, Justice Evelyn Amoah delivered the crushing verdict after convicting the self-styled prophetess on 2 explosive charges: charlatanic advertisement, essentially peddling false spiritual claims, and defrauding by false pretenses, the legal term for old-fashioned swindling. But here's where it gets controversial. Right before sentencing, the court ordered an unprecedented pregnancy test, leaving spectators buzzing about whether this was standard procedure or special treatment. Eyewitnesses describe Agrada's tense return to court hours later, on that fateful Thursday, July 3, 2025, her usually confident demeanor replaced by visible distress. This downfall traces back to a now infamous 2022 viral video, where she audaciously promised to miraculously double the money of devotees attending her Waja all-night service, a modern-day, loaves and fishes scam that ultimately backfired. The backstory you need to know. Public outrage reached a boiling point when dozens of congregants came forward with identical horror stories. They'd handed over hard-earned cash after Agrada's divine money multiplication pledge, only to be callously dismissed without repayment. Think about it. Imagine being told your $500 offering would become $1,000 by morning, then watching the church gates lock behind you empty-handed. Ghana police finally intervened after mounting complaints, arresting Agradaa on October 9, 2022. Their official statement minced no words. Patricia Asiedua alias Nana Agradaa is in custody following multiple fraud allegations related to financial scams under religious pretext. The investigation revealed her October 7 prosperity service was actually a carefully orchestrated trap, preying on vulnerable believers' hopes. Now here's what really shocks me: despite clear red flags, who honestly believes in instant money doubling in 2022? Hundreds fell victim before social media outcry forced authorities to act. The police even issued a public appeal for more victims to come forward, suggesting the scam's scale was far larger than initially reported. Food for thought. Was this harsh sentence justified given the spiritual betrayal involved, or does it set a dangerous precedent for regulating religious claims? And why do you think so many otherwise rational people ignore obvious financial red flags when they come from religious figures? Drop your hottest take in the comments. We're debating whether this case represents justice served or government overreach into faith communities. P.S. Want to avoid similar scams? Always remember, if an investment or blessing sounds too good to be true, whether in a church, gold market, or WhatsApp group, it almost certainly is. COFIIG-Ghana reacts to Agrada's jail sentence, concerns and commendations. Imagine the shockwaves that rippled through Ghana when Evangelist Patricia Asiedua, better known as Nana Agradaa, was handed a 15-year prison sentence. The Coalition for Integrity in Governance Ghana, COFIIG-Ghana, has a lot to say about this landmark ruling. While we applaud the conviction as a significant step in Ghana's battle against fraud and religious exploitation, we also have some serious concerns about the sentencing and the broader implications for justice. Nana Agradaa, a former fetish priestess turned evangelist, was convicted on 6 counts of defrauding by false pretense. The charges stemmed from her use of spiritual deception to amass significant sums of money from her followers, promising them spiritual multiplication of their funds, a promise that turned out to be nothing more than a fraudulent scheme. The Accra Circuit Court handed down the 15-year sentence on Wednesday, marking a pivotal moment in Ghana's fight against such deceitful practices. COFIIG-Ghana has always championed the rule of law, transparency, and the protection of vulnerable citizens, especially the youth, who are often the primary targets of such fraudulent activities. The conviction of a high-profile figure like Nana Agradaa sends a clear and timely message to others engaging in similar fraudulent activities: particularly those in religious circles who exploit people's faith and desperation. But here's where it gets controversial. While we celebrate the conviction, we are deeply concerned about the length of the 15-year custodial sentence. This is a first conviction, and the accused is a prominent public figure with the potential to reform. We urge her legal team to appeal for a reduction in the sentence, not to undermine justice, but to balance punishment with the opportunity for rehabilitation and reparation. After all, the goal of justice should be to reform, not just to punish. And this is the part most people miss. While the sentencing of the accused is a welcome step, COFIIG-Ghana believes that restitution to victims should be made an integral part of such rulings. Justice should not only punish the offender but also seek to repair the harm done to victims. In this case, many victims lost substantial amounts of money, and they deserve to be compensated. We propose that courts should adopt sentencing models that include the return of stolen monies or properties, even if it means reducing the jail term to allow for practical repayment or recovery efforts. Our justice system must reflect both punitive and restorative principles. It is not enough for offenders to serve time behind bars, they must also be compelled to return what they wrongfully took, especially when the victims are clearly identified and have suffered significant losses. Think about it, if someone has taken advantage of your trust and left you financially devastated, wouldn't you want them to make things right, not just serve time? In conclusion, COFIIG-Ghana calls for continued reforms in our criminal justice processes to ensure that victims of fraud are not forgotten in the pursuit of punishment. The Agradaa ruling is a strong starting point, but we must strive for justice that both deters and restores. We need a system that not only punishes wrongdoers, but also helps victims recover from their losses. Signed, Honorable Simon Yawadzi, Executive Director, Coalition for Integrity in Governance Ghana, COFIIG-Ghana. Telephone, 0558589873. Email, email protected, https://www.modernghana.com/cdn-cgi/l/email-protection. Location, Accra, Ghana. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think the 15-year sentence is too harsh or just right? Should restitution to victims be a mandatory part of sentencing? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a meaningful discussion on how we can improve our justice system. Husband of jailed evangelist Nana Agradaa speaks out, church will continue. A shocking fall from grace, a prominent evangelist behind bars, and her husband's unwavering declaration that the church will endure. The recent sentencing of Patricia Asiedua, widely known as Nana Agradaa, to 15 years of imprisonment with hard labor has sent ripples through Ghana and beyond. But what led to this dramatic turn of events, and what does it mean for the future of her ministry? Let's delve into the details. Pastor Eric Oduro Asiama, husband of Nana Agradaa, and a key figure in Heaven Way Champion Ministries, has publicly addressed the situation following the Accra Circuit Court's verdict. Nana Agradaa, a controversial figure who transitioned from traditional priesthood to evangelical ministry, was found guilty of false advertising and defrauding individuals under false pretenses. The core of the case revolves around a televised church service where Agradaa allegedly promised to miraculously double the money offered by her congregation. Sadly, numerous attendees subsequently reported significant financial losses, triggering a formal investigation and ultimately this conviction. But here's where it gets controversial. Pastor Asiama insists that the fraud allegations stem from an offertory collected during a 3-year-old all-night service. He maintains that the subsequent complaints from church members were the direct catalyst for his wife's legal troubles. It's a claim that raises questions about the timeline and the extent of Agrada's involvement, and whether the complaints were truly representative of the entire congregation. Despite the severity of the sentence, Pastor Asiama delivered a message of resilience and continuity. It's normal. The church will continue, he asserted with confidence. This statement signals an intention to keep Heaven Way Champion Ministries operational, even amidst the turmoil. It's a testament to the dedication of the remaining members and a clear indication that the leadership intends to weather this storm. And this is the part most people miss. The public reaction has been incredibly diverse. While some are calling for a thorough examination of the church's financial practices and overall operations, others remain steadfast in their support of Agradaa, viewing her conviction as a miscarriage of justice or a targeted attack. This highlights the complex dynamics within religious communities and the varying degrees of trust and faith individuals place in their leaders. The question of accountability remains central to this story. While Pastor Asiedua expresses confidence in the church's future, the legal proceedings and public scrutiny undoubtedly pose significant challenges. The case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and ethical conduct within religious organizations, particularly when financial promises are made to vulnerable individuals. Could this case set a precedent for regulating religious practices in Ghana? It's a conversation that's now very much underway. The incident has sparked debate about the boundaries of faith-based promises and the legal recourse available to those who feel they've been misled. What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you believe the sentence is just? Should religious organizations face stricter regulations regarding financial practices? Share your perspective in the comments below. We'd love to hear your views. Bukom Banku calls on President Mahama to free Agradaa. Imagine being sentenced to 15 years in prison. That's the reality for Nana Agradaa, and it's sparked a national debate about justice, mercy, and the role of influential figures in society. But is 15 years too much? That's the question boxing legend Bukom Banku is asking, and his plea to former President Mahama is stirring up strong emotions. Brahma Kamoko, the retired boxer celebrated as Bukom Banku, you might know him from his vibrant personality and outspoken views, has publicly appealed to former President John Dramani Mahama to intervene in the case of Patricia Asiedua, widely known as Nana Agradaa. Agradaa, a controversial figure who transitioned from being a traditional priestess to an evangelist, was recently handed a 15-year prison sentence by an Accra Circuit Court on July 3, 2025. The conviction stemmed from charges of defrauding her followers, a serious offense, no doubt. The court found her guilty of exploiting the trust of her religious community for personal gain. But here's where it gets controversial. While acknowledging Agrada's wrongdoing, Banku argues that the severity of the punishment is excessive. He's imploring Mahama to consider a pardon, a move that has ignited passionate reactions across Ghana. I am deeply saddened by Agrada's situation, Banku stated, his voice filled with concern. John Mahama, please, if she has done something wrong, find it in your heart to forgive her. 15 years in jail is too painful for me to bear. This heartfelt plea highlights a fundamental tension in our justice system, the balance between punishment and rehabilitation. Is a lengthy prison sentence always the best solution, or are there circumstances where mercy should prevail? And this is the part most people miss. Banku, while advocating for leniency, doesn't shy away from criticizing Agrada's past behavior. He minced no words in calling her out for her repeated offenses and her seemingly proud display of misconduct. Agradaa, you are always getting into trouble, he exclaimed. A beautiful woman like you, yet you keep taking people's money and hiring macho men to intimidate them. You even come on social media and brag about how wicked and dangerous you are. This duality in Banku's stance condemning the actions while pleading for mercy adds another layer of complexity to the debate. It raises the question, can we condemn someone's actions while still believing in their potential for redemption? The verdict itself has triggered a wave of public reactions. Many Ghanaians are applauding the ruling, viewing it as a powerful statement against fraudulent activities and a deterrent to others who might consider similar scams. They see it as a victory for justice and a necessary step in protecting vulnerable citizens from exploitation. But Banku believes the widespread celebration is misplaced, fearing for Agrada's well-being within the prison system. If she were your mother or father, you'd be pained too, he argued, appealing to the public's sense of empathy. So Mahama, as the father of the nation, I'm begging, please look into her matter for me, else she can die in there. This emotional appeal underscores the human cost of incarceration and raises concerns about the conditions within Ghanaian prisons. Is the justice system truly just if it risks the life of the convicted? Banku's intervention has undoubtedly injected a new dimension into the Agradaa case. It's a story that touches upon themes of justice, mercy, public perception, and the influence of prominent figures. It also subtly touches on the debate of whether justice should be retributive or restorative. Should the focus be on punishing the offender, or on rehabilitating them and repairing the harm caused to the community? Now, here's where I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Bukom Banku that 15 years is too harsh? Or do you believe the sentence is a just consequence for Agrada's actions? Should former President Mahama intervene, or should the justice system run its course? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Let's have a respectful and productive discussion about this complex and controversial case. Nana Agradaa sentenced to